Alright, what's up, guys? As promised in the last seed, because, wow, there were a lot of moments that made me think of this, I am going to go ahead and give you what I said I'd give you, and we're going to do a tier list of the Final Fantasy VI Beyond Chaos boss spots for how annoying they are and how hard they can be. We're obviously starting with Welk. So, Welk is interesting because he's not exactly hard, so I don't think he's going to be very high. The thing about Welk is, depending on... Really, I should have put Arvis's clock in here as a boss, because if there's a monster in a clock in Arvis's house, it's a pain in the ass. But really, it's about... You might have to fight him twice, depending. So if you go up and you fight Welk, and then you don't go back and save, and then you continue on, and then you touch Arvis's clock, and it's a monster in a box that wipes you, you have to fight Welk 2 times. That's really it. That's the only thing that makes him spooky sometimes. There can be moments where if you mess up, it sucks because maybe you didn't roll heal force on one of your characters, or the enemies leading up to Welk can suck enough that your characters just aren't ready to fight him and you don't have heal force or healing items or anything. But yeah, all in all, Welk is about as easy in Beyond Chaos as he is in anything else. So he definitely goes in C tier. He's not scary at all, really. Okay, so I guess next boss would be Vargas. So let's just put him right here while we think about him. So Vargas, it's really interesting. It depends on your Sabin. Actually, it depends on a few factors. So if you jump in and your characters that you got, like your Terra, your Edgar, and your Locke are decent enough, they can actually overdamage Vargas to the point where you can beat him before the Sabin scenario ever happens there. But if not, it's going to depend on your Sabin character and whether or not he can beat Vargas. I've had a couple of seeds where I've definitely lost to Vargas trying to beat him. His first form is usually fine with the bears and stuff, but like fighting him by yourself with Sabin without great commands and stuff can be a little rough. But I think all in all, I mean, he's better than Welk, but I think as best as it can be is probably top of C, or a little above Welk for C. He's not that hard. So it can just really depend on the characters you get. Ultros Phase 1. Okay, so the first Ultros in the Elite River. He can be a butthole, for sure. If he gets something like the 1 seed where he got Magnitude, that can be rough. Sometimes just Ultros's moves can just be good by themselves. Like Tentacle can hurt pretty bad. Also depends on your Bannon. I'm not going to use that as a reason to make Ultros a higher tier or anything, because if Bannon dies, you just lose. If we're just talking about sheer strength for Ultros and sheer buttholiness, Ultros is a butthole, but only if he rolls something really gnarly. So I think right now I'll put him above Vargas in C tier. This is probably how it's going to go through most of the game until we get into the more complicated bosses. But yeah, I'll put him above Vargas. I think he's he's way more of an asshole than Vargas is. I didn't put him in here, but I do have to honorable mention Leader in the Doma fight when you're playing as just your Cyan character. If Cyan character sucks, the Leader can really suck to fight against. You can get stuck there for a little while, but it's also a regular enemy, so I didn't feel the need to include it in here as a boss. But yeah, he can definitely be a pain in the ass. But anyway, let's move beyond him and talk about the first real boss in the Sabin scenario, the Ghost Train. So the Ghost Train can actually be really hard sometimes, depending on... I mean, Scarbeam's going to hurt. It really depends on if you find, like, potions, or if your characters have healing spells, plus having decent damaging attacks to even hurt him in the first place. The Ghost Train can be, like, a big hole butthole. Man, I don't know. I don't think he's that hard, though. Like, the last few seeds that I've done, he's been a pushover. And, yeah, usually your characters... You got 3 chances to get a character that's decent enough to, like, do damage, so I don't think he's really all that bad. Actually, I'd probably put him right here. I don't think he's as much of an asshole as Ultros is, honestly, because Ultros just has so many ways you can lose to him. Alright, our first deviation from just putting these bosses in a row as the stronger they get. Next would be Rizopos. Rizopos, yeah, sometimes with his Megavolt and El Nino and stuff, he can definitely give you a run for your money. Also, all of the fish leading up to him not, taking damage from some things, and him not taking damage from some things can be a pain. I still wouldn't put him... I don't think I would even put Rizopos up in front of Ghost Train and Ultros. I think he's right here. At the end of the day, it's basically like a shoehorned in boss, and it's basically like a regular enemy there too. So not really all that impressive or hard. So yeah, Rizapos still in C. We're still in C. We haven't moved anybody up here yet, but it's coming, I promise. All right, so the next boss would be Tunnel Armor. Can actually be kind of rough. Especially if you don't have magic to throw. I mean, he's still down here in C. I don't see him going any higher than that. The fact that you only have 2 characters, and if your 2 characters suck, Tunnel Armor is going to be really difficult. Well, not really difficult, but more difficult than he should be. Let's just put it that way. I actually think he's easier than Vargas, depending, because you have 2 chances to have better characters to fight him. And depending on what flags you're using, he can be really easy too, because you just break something for magic. But I'm going off of my flags and my experience. I've never really had a huge problem with Tunnel Armor. There's only really been a couple of times. So yeah, I would put him under Vargas. All right, Kefka at Narsh is next. So Kefka at Narsh, well, man, yeah, depending on what kind of HP he rolls and stuff, because I think I've seen him roll different HP totals, and he can, like, mess you up with his magic, because you don't always have somebody with Runic, and if you don't have something throwing out big damage, you have to sit there and take a lot of hits from him. And it's after you've used a lot of resources fighting all the soldiers through the ice fields, and he can poison you, status effect you, whatever. Kefka is probably, I'm gonna say he's still not as bad as Ultros, because you have 3 teams to choose from, and by now you've probably gotten a character that's decent enough to do damage to him. So yeah, I'd probably still put him under Ultros. I am kind of now factoring in the fact that if Bannon dies, you just lose here, because that's what makes Magnitude and stuff like that scary. And I've heard some horror stories about Ultros first form having Blowfish and Elite River, and holy balls, no thank you. So yeah, Kefka at Narsh, right there. All right, next boss on the list would be Dodaluma. So Dodaluma is not terribly hard. Really, it comes down to what his item spam is going to be, because when you get him low on health, if he gets there, he's going to, like, you know how he uses a bunch of potions in a row in vanilla? They're random items in Beyond Chaos. So sometimes he can do a Warp Stone, which never works that I've seen. Sometimes he's runawayable, and he can actually Warp Stone and get out of there and you win. But if he uses something like an X potion, that's really dumb. Like, he can bring his HP all the way back up to full. So Dodaluma, I have not had a problem with him for the longest time. I think he's under Kefka. All right, Ultros 2. So the thing about Ultros 2 here is that the rats can be a pain getting to him. And fighting him, on the other hand, is not so hard. Usually you wreck him, like, pretty much instantly once you get through all the rats in the rafters. This is obviously Ultros at the Opera. Yeah, I think he's pretty easy. I think he's easier than, like, even Tunnel Armor here, because you kind of get to pick your team outside of using cells. Yeah, I'd probably put him, like, I think he's, like, right here. I've never really had a big problem with him. He can imp you, but that's, like, it. So, yeah. He gives you $2 or so when you win, and, yeah. He's kind of the throwaway boss there, but, yeah, right here above Welk, for sure. All right, now we're getting into the meat and potatoes. So I just have Ifrit here, but this is Ifrit and Shiva in the Magitech Research Facility. Okay, so this one can really be a pain, especially if you don't have non-elemental damage, because Ifrit can throw stuff like Blaze, Fire 3. So if you didn't get like a decent weapon or some decent spells and skills that do non-elemental damage, the fight with Ifrit, particularly Ifrit, is really, really hard because he does so much damage. Shiva can do some good stuff too, but Ifrit is the real threat here. The only redeeming quality of this fight is if you defeat one of them, the other one is instantly defeated too. But yeah, Ifrit and Shiva, I'm going to go ahead and say, are the first one that we're going to put up in B, because this is very dependent on how good your characters are and very specific things they can do. And he himself is just a threat if you don't have, like, fire protection and stuff. So, yeah. Yeah, Ifrit's definitely in B. All right, I never remember which one of these two is Magi Master, so I'm just going to go ahead and guess. So this is number 24. So number 24, another one that really depends, okay? Because there is a thing he can roll where every time you hit him with anything, he ice rabbits and heals himself. He can also roll Sunbath as a skill. Another redeeming quality of this fight is that he is susceptible to some status effects if you're lucky. If you don't have something that can do enough damage to over damage an Ice Rabbit and he just keeps spamming it, holy crap, you're going to be sitting there for a while. And you might have to like think dynamically to actually beat him. So he's up here. So far, we basically put the enemies in order here. Actually, I think that Ifrit and Shiva are actually higher than him by a little bit, because if he doesn't roll that Ice Rabbit thing, he's not very hard. And if Ifrit doesn't even have to like roll anything special to be, Ifrit and Shiva don't have to roll anything special to be like annoying. So yeah, I think he's actually below them. Number 128 really depends on the fights in the mine car and how hard they are, but he doesn't really ever do anything super scary. His two parts can be a pain, but if you just focus on the middle with a lot of things, he's hurt by it. So I think he's actually easier, definitely easier than number 24. So yeah, he's like right here. I actually don't even think he's that bad. I might actually put him down here. I think he's harder than Dodaluma and the Ghost Train, but I don't think he's as bad as like these two for where you fight him in the game, you know? Alright, Cranes. So the Cranes are some of the easiest bosses in the game. They can do decent damage if you accidentally like give them their heat source and stuff, but they usually just like bam, they die because they're such throwaway enemies. They're actually farther down here too. I think they're like I think they're right about here. The thing that gets me about the Cranes is they're like Dodaluma in the fact that like when they die, I'm surprised they're already dead, you know? That happens with Dodaluma a lot, that they just die, and I'm like, oh, I thought that was going to take longer. But yeah, I would say the Cranes are only better than Dodaluma because there are two of them, you know? And you're getting a character that you don't know about right before you fight it. Oh, wait, this isn't 128, this is. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, 128. This is Inferno. That's for way later. All right, this next one is a big deal. The Flame Eater. So the Flame Eater is a roadblock from hell if you are not careful. Your Strago character has to be decent. It also depends on what the bomblets are doing throughout the burning house when the Flame Eater decides to start summoning them. It can be really, really bad to the point where I've had to like plan around fighting the Flame Eater. This one is definitely probably going to be an A, I think. I think this is A. I think that's our first one in A. Flame Eater, it just has so many things wrong. Like, sometimes wall rings don't help. He's resistant to most elements, and if he's not resistant to them, he casts freaking stuff on himself, like Reflect when he gets low on HP, so you can't aim with magic spells. This is one fight that you actually have to really think about. That's the first fight in the game, usually, of Beyond Chaos, depending on how much luck you've had, where you have to really plan out and think about how you're going to fight this thing. So yeah, Flame Eater is our first one in A, I would say. Alright, now we've got Ultros on Esper Mountain. Esper Mountain Ultros can be a pain. Like, he's usually weak to lightning, and you might have some lightning by that point. But, yeah, he's got a lot of HP. You have to roll him over into Phase 2 for the Realm character to show up. Then, after that, he can still do really, really good damage. He's got the Tri-Elemental attack thing where he does like Bolt 3 and crap to you. And because of random bosses, I'm just going to go ahead and put him like right here anyway at the bottom of A, because he has a rare chance to roll Baba Breath as an attack, which will lock your game, and you'll have to put in a code to actually kill him in one hit in order to get past him. So he's definitely one I would put up in A, if nothing else, for the fact that can happen. Not as annoying as the Flame Eater, though. I will say that. Alright, now we have the Ultros and Chupon fight. This one, honestly, is not that bad. Ultros has a lot of HP, but he goes down pretty quick. By then, you've built up a pretty good team that can pretty much take on anything in the World of Balance. Chupon is gnarly, but not scary. Like, you pretty much just keep wailing on him with your best stuff until you get sneezed. It's not a bad fight. I'd probably actually put him down here. He's not as good as all these. I'd put him at the bottom of B. Alright, Air Force. Now we're in for it. Okay, so Air Force can be really bad. Sometimes you want to attack the center. Sometimes you want to kill all the parts of it. Sometimes you want to, like, wait until a spec comes out and kill the spec. And, like, the Air Force can roll some really big dumb shit. Even if he doesn't count down to whatever replaced his wave cannon, he can do a bunch of other crap too. And he has a lot of resistances. So Air Force is... I have definitely gotten stuck on Air Force a number of times. Just because you have to fight Chupon right before it. You get a full heal after the Chupon, but you don't really get to prep for this fight. You really have to think about the fight with Air Force on your way to the floating continent in order to get through it. You need good single target damage to test and see if you want to attack the middle. Depending on the sides and what they do, you might want to blow up the whole thing with AoE. Yeah, for that reason, I'd probably he's an S, but he's like a soft S. He's like S, like the lower part of S. I would say he's the first real nasty boss in the game, if you ask me. So Atmo Weapon is definitely up here. Actually, Atmo Weapon might almost be BS. Actually, I think he might be at the low end of BS tier because he can have Meteo, he has Flare, he has a lot of HP and resistances and stuff. He can quarter you. Atmo Weapon on the floating continent can actually really roadblock you in this game. And yeah, if you don't have the right team, if you don't have the right stuff, Atma's just going to keep wiping you over and over with certain moves, and you're just going to have to power through it. So he can have Quake too. Like, dude, this dude has everything. So yeah, I think he's our first one that reached BS tier at the bottom of BS tier. Alright, Narapa. Okay, so this one is another regular enemy, but it can be really stupid if Narapa rolls a big long animation for its usual condemned thing at the end of the floating continent and make you die to time over, right? So Narapa can be a pain just because of everything you have to deal with up to it. Like, I kind of consider the naughties a part of this boss fight. So, like, if you can't get through the naughties fast and you end up running into Narapa, and Narapa has, like, a really long animation for this spell that it does to each one of your characters, you might just die to the time over because of it. You're always conscious of how long the Narapa fight is going to take based on that. So, yeah, I would say Narapa, I don't know, man. I think I would, like, Narapa itself is not a pain. It's just the crap that it can do. So I'm going to, like, I think Narapa is actually lower. I think it's more of an annoyance than it is, like, a hard fight. Yeah, I think it's above Welk. Yeah, and below the opera fight, for sure. Alright, now we're in there. So we're in the World of Ruin now. This is where shit starts to get real. Okay, so first form Funbaba. You don't always have to go and fight him. Obviously, you can skip Mobliz entirely and just go straight to Nikia. But yeah, we're going to talk about how I do it. This is first phase Funbaba. He can really be a pain in the ass because of Blowfish. So if you rolled some low HP pulls on the characters that you have based on, like, obviously your Cells character, who you start with in the World of Ruin, and the character you get in the Burning House, or the Collapsing House, sorry, then Blowfish can really mess you up, because if you don't have over 1,000, he's just going to one-shot you. It's basically an instant kill move. Sometimes you have to skip him and come back later and fight him. So yeah, I would put Funbaba, he's probably, because he's optional, and you don't have to fight him, I think he's more BS than Ifrit and Shiva, just because of that Blowfish thing, and throwing out, like, Bolt 3s and stuff. And I'd put him probably about here. I don't think he's bad as the Flame Eater or Ultros, but he is pretty bad if you're going there before you do the Tentacles fight. Speaking of the Tentacles fight, these go up here in BS. There's a reason why. So they all four have different elemental weaknesses and defenses. It's the first real fight in the game where you have to think about your relics, because Seize, which captures you and basically drains your HP until you die and they decide to discard you, can only be avoided if you have haste, and casting haste isn't enough because that will wear off eventually. So you basically want to equip running shoes. They can also usually poison you, which is not like in the vanilla game. If you remember fighting the tentacles, the best strategy was to equip running shoes and star pendants, and have haste and protection from poison, and you were basically able to avoid seizing and being poisoned, and the fight was a pushover. In Beyond Chaos, those things aren't always available to you, and you don't have auto crossbow to shoot, you don't have runic to stop some of their spells all the time. So yeah, I would put them in BS. I've definitely been roadblocked by the tentacles based on my Cell's collapsing house character and Edgar before, because wow, it's really like dependent. I don't think I would put them above Atma. Atma's like at the bottom of the BS list, because like you can keep throwing yourself at Atma and beat him eventually, but this one you have to like think about. Oh my goodness, Dullahan. Dullahan is rough. It depends on what he rolls for that opening attack, man. If he does, this is the worst part. You don't know until you fight him. If he rolls Megazerk that replaces his level question mark Pearl at the very start, then yeah, Megazerk is rough. I think he can also get, what else can he get? He can get some other crap too. I just don't remember what it is. But the one that I always remember is Megazerk, because that can really screw you. It zerks all of your characters, and if you aren't ready for it, you're screwed. And then outside of that, he can just be a hard fight anyway if you don't have protection from ice and stuff, or Pearl, because they still throw Pearl. And he heals himself when he starts to get low on HP, which I guess is a good thing, because it kind of like clues you into how close you are to beating him, but it's still annoying. So yeah, Dullahan is in BS. Yeah, he's definitely over the tentacles. So far, we are basically like saying all the bosses in a row, because I mean the power level is going to shift a little bit as we go through, because now we're going to be open-ended for a minute. But yeah, so far all the bosses in a row are the ones that are rough. We've got our airship. We can fly around to anywhere we want, so we can like start looking at everything. Our buddy Doomgaze. Doomgaze is up here. This is personal preference here. Doomgaze is up here because, one, he's annoying and attack you wherever you are in the air. Wherever he decides to be, he can just troll the hell out of you. He can also roll having auto runic, which is a pain. He level 5 dooms you pretty much every time. And if you're not prepared, your characters are getting wrecked. You have to equip memento rings to fight him most of the time. He's not usually hurt by a lot of elements, and you have to keep chasing him around to fight him. Now, with BC giving you the button on the airship to instantly find him, it's different, but my experience before that ever became implemented and having to fly around and find him just, makes me want to put him here. And he always pops up when I least expect him, flying around wherever he decides to frickin' fly. So I'm putting him right here. He's still my best friend, but I hate him. Ooh, alright. Who is next? Let's talk about SR Behemoth. So SR Behemoth, the first form is the one that's really scary. And the second form I've run into doing Confuser and stuff that you can't be ready for half the time either. Unless you found like ribbons by then. SR Behemoth sucks. I think he's at the top of S. I think he's over Air Force. He's a pain in the butt because the first form can be hard and the second form can be hard. Sometimes you can slice kill the second form like I did last game. Or you can like instant kill it in some other way. But yeah, SR Behemoth can sometimes be, he's definitely not one you can go and fight immediately when you get the airship, unless your characters are just absurd. So yeah, I'll put him at the top of S here. All right, let's go ahead and talk about other form Foonbaba. So other form Foonbaba, the final form, you have to fight him back to back here. The first fight with him is kind of rough to get him to finally like Baba Breath away a couple of your characters, and the second one you get 2 characters Baba Breathed, and then you get 1 character replacing them both, so you have 3 characters at max to fight him with. He's still got Blowfish. He can roll having Flare and stuff too, I'm pretty sure, in that second form, so he can definitely be a pain. I would probably put him right here under Air Force, because he is susceptible to sleep pretty much every time I've run into him, so he is easy to neuter if you have that spell. If not, he can be like probably right about here. I don't think he's as bad as SR Behemoth, but yeah, I'd put him right about there. Okay, let's just talk about Chad. So Chad, wow, dude. So he's pretty much always weak to Pearl, but Chad is just an asshole. So he will switch between himself and the lady half, back and forth, and troll the hell out of you the entire time that he's doing it. He has a charm move. The Phantasm can actually come into play and mess you up. The move that gives you seizure, that can't be healed. He'll throw like big dumb lightning moves like Bolt 3 and stuff. And he can get like Flash Rain, I'm pretty sure. He's just an all-around dick. He can zombie you. He can condemn you. I always dread going to fight Chad. Holy crap, you guys know how much of a butthole he can be and how much rage he induces in me. Even more so than Doomgaze. He's up here at the top of BS right now. He might not leave that spot. We will see. Bite me, Chad. Alright, Tritalk. Tritalk isn't usually that bad. Sometimes he can be if he's not weak to any of the elements you have, because he can roll being immune to some of them. He never really gets too terribly scary though. He's usually like just a moderate boss. I think I'd put him at the top of A. He's not that bad. Yeah, he's really not that bad. He doesn't really do many scary things to you. He can like cold dust and freeze you, which sucks. But usually you have somebody who can equip a flame saber, and you found one by then who can go and keep unfreezing you in order to fight him. So I don't think he's that bad. I think he's at the top of A. No. I'd put him like right here because Flame Eater is way worse than him. So yeah. Tritalk down here. Okay, Amaro. Amaro is way the hell down, dude. He's easy. I've never had a trouble fighting him, like ever, I don't think. I guess if the item he used to give him his power 100 times up was like an X potion, it would be annoying, but I've never seen it happen. Umaro's probably actually down here in C, dude. Like, he's got a lot of HP, but he's not really like BS. He's not BS, dude. So yeah, I think he's down here at like top of C. No, because he's not as bad as these characters based on the times you have to fight them, actually. So yeah, he's like right here, I think. I think number 128 is still more annoying than Amaro is. Alright, we are beyond optional bosses here, and we're beyond character bosses, I should say, because there's no boss in the Phoenix Cave unless you count the Red Dragon. We also did not include the dragons in this list, because I think in the future I want to do a video talking about the dragons specifically. Maybe not a tier list video, but one just talking about the 8 dragons and what can really screw you with them. Let's go ahead and talk about the optional bosses. Let's talk about Hidden first. The last 2 seeds I've had, Hidden has had Goner, which is a pain in the ass. And his dungeon sucks. And his little dudes, the Hidden Knights, can be a pain too, because they randomly roll stuff that just can't, they absorb and resist and all that stuff. But also the last Hidden I fought died to a life too, so it was like a zombie. But the fact that he can get Goner and not have Grand Train that we can learn from him, and even if he does have Grand Train, we have to like actually tank it to win. And he's just annoying to fight. I think I'd put him over SR Behemoth here. I think he's at the top of S. And he also locks us into having to use the Strago character no matter what. So yeah, there you go. The Triplets. Oh my god. Fighting the Dream Stooges can be a real pain. I think they're going to go at the bottom of BS here. Because, Curly here has Pearl Wind. And if you can't do good damage, single target damage to him to get the hell rid of him, they're just going to keep healing. Literally, the last seed I played, I had to wait for him to run out of MP in order to even kind of have a chance. Because the Pearl Winds were too good. They just recover 9s, and you can't do enough damage. So yeah, the triplets are definitely there. Also, you have to equip like jewel rings or ribbons or something to avoid the delta hit. There's level 3 spells flying all over the place. Sometimes they have flare. Sometimes they can have freaking Merton. Seen that happen before. So yeah, definitely up at the bottom of BS tier, I would say. Okay. Rex Soul. The whole reason why I said I was going to make this tier list was because of Rex Soul in the last seed, in the last couple of seeds. So here's the thing. Sometimes he's really easy because you can learn X Zone go to Cian's Dream, get to the part where you fight him, throw out X Zone, and boom, you just insta-win, just like in vanilla. Other times, he's resistant to X Zone. At those times, he becomes one of the most annoying bosses in the game. Even more so than Chad. Because while Chad is switching back and forth, and that is bullshit, because you can just whiff your attacks you did to him, in Rexol's form, by the time you get to Rexol, if you cannot instant kill him or X Zone him, that means he will zinger you, possess one of your characters, you have to kill one of them off in order for him to reappear and for you to do damage. There is a lot that has to go into this. One, you want to make sure that you bring a character that has an item command, so you can Phoenix down. Usually, preferably everyone with an item command. And you need to figure out a way to kill your own characters. By then, you probably have really good equipment, so it's very hard to kill your characters, even with your characters. And if a character dies that is the one that you need to do the damage, and that's the one you also need to kill to bring back Rexol, then you have to pick them up, and you have to get them to do damage before he zingers again and gets the hell out of there. Rexol is more annoying than Chad because of that. However, he is less annoying than Chad because it doesn't always happen. Chad is consistently a butthole. Rexol is only slightly so. So yeah, I would definitely put him right under Chad. I think they're very close to tied. If it weren't for the fact that Rexol can be X-Zone sometimes, he would definitely be up here. But yeah, the mechanics of this fight are so annoying if he can't be X-Zoned. So yeah, Rexol, second in the BS tier. Good for you, man. Magi Master in the Fanatics Tower. This is just going straight up to the top of BS because there's way too much that goes into fighting him. Now that they've included the flags for the Fanatics Tower that let you keep your commands and not be locked into magic, it's less so, but even still, you have to have life 3. You don't have to. You can actually MP drain him, but it takes forever. And if you have that kind of time, go for it. I've only done it once in my entire career of playing Final Fantasy, period, much less Beyond Chaos. You definitely want to try and find your life 3 Esper in any avenue you can before you ever go up to try and fight him. And what's more bullshit is there's a chance that your life 3 Esper is behind Magi Master at the top of the Fanatics Tower. This man right here represents everything that sucks about the Fanatics Tower in one freaking character, in one boss. So basically, if you don't know from the vanilla game, I'm sure you do, when you beat Magi Master, and he runs out of HP, he casts Ultima as his death attack, which does 9999 to all of your characters. If you do not have life 3 to come back to life, or if you did not drain his MP down to nothing and he tries to cast Ultima and doesn't have the MP for it, you will die, and you will have to do the Fanatics Tower all over again. That's what makes this dude BS. And in Beyond Chaos, you have, chance to learn life 3 on level up, but I only go up to about level 50, 60. So I don't make the end of the game so terribly easy that it's not fun. So a lot of the times I don't get life 3, and I have to skip this boss at the Fanatics Tower, which makes me mad. So yeah, he's definitely at the top of the BS for that reason. We are into Kefka's Tower now. Inferno, not a huge deal. I probably would put him like here. I don't even think he's as bullshit as Hidden is. Yeah, because he's just another like 128 but stronger, and if you kill his 2 sides first, he'll meter you, but most of the time when I fight him, it's after my grind, so he's actually pretty easy. It's kind of just a nuisance. So yeah, I don't think he's as bad as and for that reason, actually, he's probably like down below second form Foon Baba, if you ask me. Guardian, kind of the same story. Guardian is weak to fire. He does like kind of not really strong attacks and stuff. He usually only gets up to running Ultros's battle program and tentacling me before I kill him. He's kind of not good. I think he's just right here with Inferno. Atma in Kefka's Tower. Really, Atma in Kefka's Tower, by now you should have a lot of stuff that's really, really strong against like the magic attacks and crap he can do. Sometimes he can roll crap like Love Token, which is weird, or Charm, but as long as you're like a physical centric centric team, it's not a big deal when stuff like that happens. This Atma is definitely not in BS like the other Atma. Basically, it comes down to outrunning his Ultima. He also has a big chance to roll Life 3, which can be a pain in the ass. So I think he's up here past Hidden. I actually think he's more of a pain in the ass than Hidden is. Alright, 3 statues. Let's start with Poltergeist. Poltergeist can suck, depending. He can do really big dumb attacks too. Fire is usually the stuff he does to you, but sometimes he'll roll different elements that you have to deal with. You definitely want to think about your relics fighting him a lot and your equipment. So yeah, Poltergeist, I think, is below Atma. Atma, most of the time you're going to end up having to outrun the Ultima. With Poltergeist, you just have to survive long enough to kill him. That's pretty much it. Alright, Doom. Doom sucks a whole lot of ass, but not in the way you think. It doesn't suck to fight him. He sucks fighting you. Most of the time, he doesn't freaking do anything scary. The scariest thing I've ever seen him do was Merton, and most of the equipment you have by then, you're absorbing fire or wind with, and even if you're not, his Merton isn't doing that much damage. Sometimes it gives him a crap skill like, Force Field, which can screw you sometimes, but not often enough for it to matter. Doom is really just a giant pool of HP. He's not even that scary. I think he's way down here. That's really sad for one of the 3 statues to be relegated to, like, down here area. I think he's more annoying than Tritok, but, Ultros, that is Esper Mountain Ultros there. I'd put Esper Mountain Ultros above Doom also. Doom is just easy, man. I've never had a problem with him. Let's talk about Goddess. Goddess is definitely going to be in BS tier. Goddess not only can have her vanilla shit, Overcast, Quasar. She uses a lot of lightning stuff, but that's not always the thing she does. She has usually something. She usually has Love Token. If she doesn't, she has Charm. She's just a pain in the ass fight that can be really, really hard. Definitely the strongest of the 3 statues. Not necessarily as BS as some of the things we have at the top of this list, but she is definitely, like, I think she's above Doomgaze for BS for sure. I don't know about these. Really, it comes down to the mechanics of these fights, right, that makes them so bullshit at the top. And Goddess has similar things, like because of Love Token, because of Overcast, because you have to outrun Zombie, or you have to put Memento Rings on. Sometimes you don't know which one is the correct answer based on the kind of Goddess you're fighting. And Love Token, by then you might have somebody with fixed dice, and that might be how you're killing stuff in that path, and she ends up Love Tokening, and now the dice don't matter. So yeah, she can be a big fat pain, and she almost always gets Life 3. All of the statues tend to get Life 3, but when it's Goddess getting Life 3, it's really, really bad, because then she's low on HP, and a lot of the time she throws Quasar at you, which can just totally wipe your team. So yeah, these 4 definitely make sense in the order that I see them for their bullshit. And wow, man, that's our tier list right there. So yeah, it seems pretty cohesive here. I don't know what I would move around, if anything, really. I guess we could always take Magi Master and say, okay, he's not that bad if you have Life 3. So, like, if you're prepared for this fight, and you're never going to do this fight unless you're prepared for it, with some way to beat him and survive the Ultima. Yeah, I don't think he's actually at the top. I think he's actually down here. Yeah, you're never going to do this fight unless you're prepared for it, and if you're prepared for it, it's really easy. It's really just about the Fanatics Tower sucking. I think I would put him down here at the bottom of BS, actually, now that I think about it. These are just fights that when you go into it, you don't know what to expect. This one, you pretty much do. So, yeah, that looks about right. Chatternook took the top spot of the BS tier list, Final Fantasy VI Beyond Chaos bosses. Wow. Yeah. So yeah, that shows you right there who my least favorite boss in Beyond Chaos is, and why every time we're going through a run, I go, oh god, we gotta go to Chad, don't we? This is why. This seems like a pretty good list. Let me know if you disagree with it or agree with it, or in your experience, what was harder? You know, what was more BS to you in Beyond Chaos? And see how your list stacks up to mine. But that was fun. We might do something like this again in the future. Maybe not a tier list, but I was really thinking about, like, after Seed 20, what I'd like to do is start making, like, little tiny videos. Just, I wouldn't call them tutorials, but just, like, things that I've picked up along the way in playing Beyond Chaos, and kind of like talking about them in depth, you know, before we start our next run to seed number 30. But yeah, I think that'll be fun to talk about. And yeah, thanks you guys for watching, and I'll see you for the next video. Peace.